Now, US officials are being pressed for more details about the unidentified objects that have been shot out of the sky.
We don't yet know exactly what these three objects were.
Continue to await with obviously a lot of urgency.
Sightings were determined to be drones, with at least one sighting suspected.
I thought they had a snowblower out here going. That's what it sounded like.
This latest object was in the shape of an octagon.
They have found no evidence of any extraterrestrial life.
Has it finally begun? Have they finally started to implement this project? Have they finally started Project Blue Beam, a preparation for something far greater and heinous ever in human history? Let's find out, shall we? Project Blue Beam was a book authored by Serge Monast in 1994, who was a journalist in the 80s and 90s. Currently, the book is impossible to find. However, until his death in 1996, he gave a series of interviews about the book, which meant that contents within the book are available, but they're largely scattered all over the internet. And up until 1996, Monast was able to give away much of the book's content in interviews. However, after his death, the circulation of the original book stopped, almost as if it's been made to vanish and has been impossible to find since then. Although there have been other books made on this topic, which of course have been penned under different names, this particular book hasn't been found or recovered. But the most interesting and probably spine-chilling thing about this whole ordeal is that Monast, in his last interview, claimed that he was being hunted down by the police and authorities. Due to this fear, he began homeschooling his kids, yet that didn't matter, as they were eventually taken away by the state and put into public schools. After this whole ordeal happened, the authorities finally got to Monast, arrested him, had him spend a night in a cold jail cell, and then released him back into his home the very next day, where he died of a heart attack. People who follow him and believe in his theory obviously pointed fingers at the authorities and his secret organization controlling the authorities to be behind his murder. Now, I don't know whether this was true or not, but it is very interesting that he died after spending a night in custody. Because there are resources or items where if you mix it in food and drink, it will cause the person who consumed it to die, and it'll seem like a natural death. Of course, you can't source this type of item in a local pharmaceutical, as it is only available possibly in the black market or somewhere else. But things like this do exist. But why was Monast hunted down? Well, the reason he stated before his untimely demise was that he had a network of prohibited information available to him, meaning he had access to information that was very classified. But the main question is, what was written inside that book that was so deadly? According to Monast, NASA, CIA, or any other secret covert agency is carrying out mass deception on a global scale, the likes of which haven't been done before. It's a small sub-project which is a part of a larger project called the New World Order, and everyone knows what that is. However, before the first phase of Project Blue Beam can even begin, it needs to fulfill some prerequisites. Because Blue Beam is so wild, the world needs to go through some stuff before it is easily digestible by the masses. There needs to be a consistent stream of earthquakes or natural disasters. If you haven't noticed, the number of natural disasters has ballooned over the years. We have hurricanes, cyclones, and devastating earthquakes, all increasing and happening frequently. Then there needs to be a steady stream of conflicts. War. US invading Afghanistan, Russia invading Ukraine, the Middle East being destabilized, etc. Conflicts must occur in several places at once and must continue. Then there should be economic collapse. Don't forget that there was one in 2008 which was devastating. Yet economists predict that there will be another one that is coming in a few years, which will be much more destructive than its predecessor. Imagine it's like the Great Depression, but on a global scale. People will lose their jobs, homes, businesses, etc., which will lead to panic and depression, which will in turn lead to violence. Then there should be a shortage of food, necessity, and basic items. How is this possible? It's possible when you have a global pandemic like COVID that pretty much destroyed supply chains, leading to those very shortages. So, these are some of the prerequisites needed for PBB. Because they need the mass to be frustrated, hopeless, tired, and eventually unable to think rationally or think at all. They don't want to give people the ability to take a break and think rationally, and the only way they can do this is to complete the prerequisites in the shortest amount of time possible. Possibly within a time frame of 3 decades or less. Because within 3 decades you could condition and control an entire generation. Through the media and manipulation of information, it's very easy to do so, especially for a secretive agency that has all the power in the world. Then in the final phase, they will implement PBB, or Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam's first phase will be faking unidentified flying object encounters through highly advanced technology. Technology that is decades ahead of what is currently available in the market. What is that technology? It is extremely precise and dedicated holograms and lasers. You might be thinking, wait, holograms and lasers are very easy to spot? Actually, commercial holograms, or the ones we are used to, are easy to spot. But extremely advanced holograms that you can touch and feel. Those are leaps and bounds ahead of what we currently have. Here's an example. In 2021, students from the University of Glasgow developed a hologram that you can touch and feel. They created a basketball hologram that you can touch and bounce, which pretty much acts like a normal basketball. And both the US and China already have built energy-focused weapons, laser beams that can rapidly shoot down enemy drones and aircrafts, etc. So my point is, if we have this kind of technology available to us already, you can be damn sure that there exists technology that is hidden away from people, that is leaps and bounds more crazy than this. But how can a hologram this advanced do things like this? How can it move so fast that pilots or pedestrians aren't able to follow it with the naked eye when it disappears? Because that's what happens, right? People see strange lights and strange objects, and then they disappear as quick as they come. Check out this Harvard scientist who explains it on concrete.
Like Project Bluebeam?
Yeah, good one.
What is that?
That's
lasers, right?
Yeah, I can actually talk about that one, but that is it's really bad, but you know the people that see orbs in the sky?
Yeah.
Go around that fly faster
UFOs?
than UFOs.
Yeah, there's Navy pilots. There's multiple Navy pilots who talk about they got their they were flying F-18s, these Navy pilots, and one of them's coming in here in 2 weeks. He's Ryan Graves.
Okay.
He's a Navy pilot flying off the coast of North Carolina, and they got their radar upgraded on their F-18s, and all of a sudden they were seeing these things darting around on their radar.
Okay. Don't tell him what I'm about to say and see if he knows about it.
Okay.
So what we do is we play with our own forces to make sure our trickery will work on the enemy. And those are directed energy weapons of where we do intersecting beams or focus beams into the atmosphere. And notice they're always in the atmosphere to excite the electron orbitals of the oxygen and nitrogen in our atmosphere It causes a glow and it causes ionization. That ionization shows up on radar and it's like a cat laser pointer, and we're making planes chase them.
That's exactly how they describe these things moving, like laser pointers.
Yeah, and so we can do it in 3 space. We can make it look like...
in 3-dimensional space.
Yeah, and we can make it look like an entire fleet is about to drop bombs on, let's say, Europe, and then just have them disappear. And they get all their planes up in the air, and we attack them from the other direction, assuming we're attacking Europe.
Who is doing this? The Navy, you said?
Somebody. Let's just say a group. A group, you know.
And you know this for a fact?
I know for a fact, yeah.
So once they have this kind of weapon in place, the second part of the phase begins, which is to set up a fake alien invasion, which shouldn't be hard to do, and you might be wondering, how will the public react if they see this? You see, and this is my personal observation, there won't be a mass panic like the ones many are thinking. It's because people's minds have been conditioned through the media and other visual mediums on how to react when there is an alien invasion. You see, through movies, games, and TV shows, they've slowly conditioned people over the years to put complete faith and trust in their government. What happens in most alien invasion movies? The aliens are the bad guys and the government agencies are the good guys. And in the end, they save the day. That is the same script that every alien movie follows. So it'll all follow like a movie script where once an alien invasion comes, people will slowly but surely accept submission to the government and follow rules and won't complain, just like what happened with COVID. And then after the invasion comes the unification of the world, Phase 3. But before that can happen, one of the prerequisites needs to be fulfilled, which I didn't mention, which needs to be mentioned, and that is the complete eradication of any and all traditional religion. You see, the whole purpose of Project Bluebeam is to install a central government that will rule the world. One world government. And the person in charge of this world government must be an all-powerful being who people will follow blindly, a false god. He will be Dajjal, or he is sometimes known as the Antichrist. Under him, this project also aims to bring a new religion with him as the god. They will make whoever is the Antichrist do things beyond human comprehension. People will be fooled into thinking he's doing miracles. And to ensure his arrival is as smooth as possible, they aim to eradicate traditional religions, moral values, and principles. To eradicate any semblance of being human, they'll desensitize people to everything, to violence, gore, and hypersexuality. And if you ask me, that's currently what's happening now. However, once that's been done and a new religion has been created, people will flock towards him, women especially. And they will flock to him because he will be their new savior. Because he will come in a time where the world will have no hope left. Only madness and chaos. People will lose all sense of rationality and will easily accept him as a god if he promises to deliver them to safety from their hardships. Even in Islam, sources say that when he will arrive, people will run towards him. So it is advised to the believers that they should instead run away from him as far as possible. So that's the end of this wild conspiracy theory, whether you believe it or not. Though you have to admit, it is a pretty interesting read. Tell me whether you believe in it or not in the comment section below. But what I can tell you is that though this is a conspiracy theory, much of its origins raises eyebrows, and much of what it contains does make sense in today's day and age.